to the Redevelopment Agency, the Rialto Utility Authority, and the Rialto Housing Authority. Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Robertson,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Carrie Sanders,
Present.
Councilmember Baca,
Present.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Present.
Councilmember Scott,
Present.
City Attorney Eric Bell,
Present.
Interim City Manager Michael Milhouse.
Present.
Great. So with that, we're going to move on into closed session, and if you would be so kind, Council, you can lead us into closed session.
I'd be happy to do that, Mayor. Tonight you have 5 items of existing litigation. One of them is a police matter, which is the Esteban Hernandez versus City of Rialto. The other 4 items all relate to what are called the PFAS or the AFAS settlements. We'll kind of take those as a block. We also have 2 items of anticipated litigation. One has to do with Rialto well number 5 and a baseline feeder system that is also related to the PFAS settlement actions. We do list a second item of anticipated litigation, which was described as the dig alert notice of probable violation. Unfortunately, one of the staff members who's critical to briefing on that issue has an emergency related to the current fires with his home, and he can't be here, so we're asked to continue that item to the 24th. And I do have an item that I would like to request that the council add to closed session. This is an item that arose subsequent to the preparation of the agenda and needs action or direction from you tonight. Yesterday, we were served with a notice of verified petition for a writ of mandate. This is an election challenge case. There's an ex parte hearing that's on Thursday, and I need to brief the council about this matter tonight so we know what direction to go on Thursday. The basics of the case is that there was a gentleman who is running for the position of mayor, and the county registrar disqualified him because he didn't have sufficient number of votes. He disagrees with that decision. His remedy is to file a writ of mandate with the court, and he has named as parties the City of Rialto, the county through the Register of Voters, and the city clerk. And with that, that will take a 4/5 vote to add that item, and then I can brief you on it in closed session.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you.
Okay, any objections?
Who seconded?
Well,
Mayor.
I did, but we did
I
it
just need
in
for the
unison,
record,
so
who are you giving me? Who? I just need,
I'll second it,
okay, thank you.
unless there's a reason for a conflict. No. Any objections? Hearing none. Okay, anything else that we need to
That is it.
address with? Okay, I did note that you informed me that there is an item on the, I think on the payment warrants that I will be recusing myself from on that, okay?
Item B1 on the consent calendar.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the heads up. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I think I heard Councilmember Baca. So moved, and I heard second by Mayor Pro Tem Andy Carrizales. Any objections to that? Hearing none, we're in closed session. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. Today is the regular council meeting for Rialto City. And this meeting is also acting as their successor agency to the city of Rialto, as well as the Utility Authority and Rialto Housing Authority. With that, I'd ask if the clerk would do a roll call, please.
Mayor Robertson,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Caricelis,
Present.
Councilmember Scott,
Present.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Present.
Councilmember Baca,
Present.
City Attorney Eric Bell,
Present.
City Treasurer Ed Correa,
Present.
Interim City Manager Mike Milhouse.
Present.
Okay. All right, with that, I would ask if everybody would stand and join Councilmember Joe Baca in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then please remain standing for the invocation. Thank you.
Would everybody place their hands in their heart? And we begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow. Lord God, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this meeting. We thank you for our city. Look upon our nation. Look upon our state. All the families affected by the fires. But Lord God, we just ask that you guide this meeting. Let your wisdom, let your power, let your spirit be in this place. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And that was provided to us by Pastor Dr. Victor Nolan for Word in Action Christian Center. Thank you. Okay, now I would ask if the city attorney would like to report out on closed session.
I'd be happy to do that, Mayor. The city council did meet in closed session today during its 5 o'clock session. There were two basic items on the agenda. One was a conference with legal counsel with regard to 5 items of existing litigation. With regard to all 5 of these items, which are listed in the agenda, council heard a report from the city attorney's office and received direction. The other 2 items were conference with legal counsel with regard to anticipated litigation. Item 2, dig alert notice of probable violation, was continued to the next council meeting. Item 1, Rialto Well 5, you received a briefing from the city attorney's office with regard to that item, and there was no other reportable action on those items. City attorney also requested that the council add an item of subsequent need at your 5 o'clock session. Council added by appropriate vote under the Brown Act an item entitled Joshua Augustus versus City of Rialto and the County Registrar of Voters. It is a petition for writ of mandate. This is an election issue. We were served with this item on Monday. There is a hearing on Thursday. Since this item arose subsequent to the preparation of the agenda and requires action, it was appropriate to add it in this manner. You did receive a report from the city attorney with regard to that item and gave direction. There was no other action on that item. Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you. Now we will move to presentations and proclamations, but before, okay, just a second. Yes, Councilmember Baca.
If I can have a comment to make before we get on to the proclamations,
Okay, in reference to,
in reference to someone who passed away.
well, that's what I was getting ready to do as well.
Oh, well, we'll both do it.
Okay, I'll just add yours right behind mine, okay? I was just going to say, before we go into our proclamations and presentations, I would just like that we close close our session today, our council meeting, in memory of one person who's very iconic to all of us. It's not just that he lives in Rialto, he definitely didn't. But first and foremost, I would just like to close in memory of James Earl Jones and the fact that what role he played and the way that he was recognized throughout the United States and the world. I also would like to ask that we close in memory of Mr. Walter A. Jarman Jr., who lived in this area for quite some time on the bench. He did a lot of work in both Rialto and San Bernardino, but he lived right on the bench. And then some of you will know a lady who worked in our community quite a bit. Again, she was not living in Rialto, but a lot of us knew her, and that's Miss Noelle Wiggins. And so I'd ask that we also close in memory of her. She was a person who was a member of Loveland Church, but Miss Wiggins really worked a lot in our community. So with that, I'll also let Councilmember Baca go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd also like to add that we adjourn in memory of Greta Hodges. Greta Hodges was quite involved with the city of Rialto. She actually was quite involved with the K-9 program, was a member of a lot of the organizations here in the city of Rialto. She passed last night. She will be greatly missed. She was a great contributor and cared so much about Rialto, its direction, where we're at, and where we're going. So I'd like us to adjourn in her memory. Greta Hodges.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, and so now with that, we'll move into presentations and proclamations. And both of them will be today presented by Councilmember Trujillo. So your first one is a certificate for National Tradesman Day. And then his next one will be a certificate of recognition for Connie Moore Bolton. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, fellow council members, as well as the audience. My first presentation is to honor National Tradesman's Day. And so just a few words about it. September 17th, which is next week, on Friday, is National Tradesman's Week. It's a call to celebrate and honor skilled tradespeople for their essential skills and hard work in building America. Tradespeople build our schools, commercial buildings, and homes, and construct our roads, repair our cars, maintain our water systems and power grids, and keep our supply chains of goods moving. Our country relies on skilled workers to keep the nation's systems going. Without them, the system breaks down. Each year on the third Friday of September, we celebrate tradespeople. It was created in 2011 by Irwin Tools, a company that sells quality tools, an effort to recognize the importance of trade careers and the people who work them. Skilled workers handle the gritty jobs that sometimes involve dangerous conditions such as power outages during a flood or other type of repairs. The types of tradespeople that exist are like electricians, plumbers, HVAC installers, truck drivers, automotive mechanics, carpenters, masons, welders. And today I have the opportunity to recognize 3 individuals in our community who we want to highlight their work in the trades. And so I wanted to bring up first, we'll start with Thomas Reese, if you'd like to come up. We're going to recognize an individual from La Una 783 and highlight her work. So also like to bring up Jeannie Juarez. There you go. And if you want to say a few words about the work that you do in La Una.
I'd like to, first of all, good evening. Thank you, members of the council, mayor. My name is Thomas Reese. I'm a representative for the Laborers International Union of North America, located here in San Bernardino County. And tonight I'm honored to speak on behalf of my members, but I'm more honored to speak on behalf of our nominee, or tradeswoman, Janine Juarez. Janine started her career like every other laborer in our union throughout the apprenticeship through our apprenticeship program 12 years ago. The Laborers Union is known throughout the construction industry for having one of the toughest, most physical boot camps in construction. This is where applicants decide whether the juice is worth the squeeze, because they go through a 40-hour physical agility test to test their physical ability and their mental endurance to actually perform work out in the field. Most applicants tap out halfway through the day or fail to show up the next morning. And I'm proud that Jeannie has continued to show up for companies that she has worked for the last 12 years, day in and day out. But we should not be surprised, because Jeannie is a veteran who had proudly served our country in the Army Reserves for 25 years and was deployed twice, once in Iraq in 2006 and in Kuwait in 2010, and retired as an E7 Sergeant First Class. She's a strong woman of character and was just recently recognized in the Women Construction Week Spotlight by Ames Construction in March of 2024 for being an inspiration to women in construction. She's a proud laborer that has helped build our communities throughout Southern California. As a resident of the city of Rialto for the last 9 years, Jeannie found herself working most of the time in Orange County. Luckily for us, we were able to bring her home to help build the I-10 express lanes here in Ontario in 2021. Jeannie is not afraid to get her hands dirty and has worked on grading crews, traffic control crews, and currently a water truck driver. I want to thank the Rialto City Council, especially member Trujillo, for giving us the opportunity to recognize such a deserving community member and tradeswoman tonight. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. I am honored by this, and it's very humbling, and I just want to say thank you.
So I have a plaque for you, and it says, in recognition of your leadership, skills, and expertise that are highlighted during National Tradesmen's Day. Your commitment to pass on your skills to the next generation is commendable, keeps our homes, businesses, and America running smoothly. Best wishes on your future endeavors, and it's signed by our mayor and my fellow colleagues on the city council. I just want to, again, thank you. I'd also like to call up Omar Kovian with the Western States Carpenters Region Council of Carpenters, Local 909, and I also want to bring up Miguel Guzman. Say a few words. Thank you, Omar.
Good evening, council staff, and good evening, Rialto residents. Today, we celebrate a special day. We're honored to have been invited by the city and Rafael Trujillo for this special moment to be able to recognize a member from Local 909. You know, Miguel Guzman, 19-year union carpenter, but not only that, he's second generation union carpenter, seen his dad in the trade. So I'm sure he's seen, just like I seen my dad getting up early every day when I was going to school and hitting the road, and now he's doing the same for his family. So on behalf of, you know, I'm honored to be able to present, for Rafael to present this award to Miguel in front of his carpenter brothers and sisters right here in the city of Rialto. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel, for helping us build our city and our communities.
Thank you. Few words? Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much to the city of Rialto, to Rafael Trujillo, and to all my union brothers. Thank you for making jobs local to union carpenters. I've been living here in Rialto for 16 years, and this is the first time I see that we're working locally. Thank you very much.
At this time, I also wanted to bring up Chris Rosales with IBEW District 11, and John Lanao, one of our retirees. Local IBEW 11. Come on in.
Madam Mayor, City Council, I might mention one thing before I get started, that I know I've got a hearing impairment, but I've got hearing aids on, and we really cannot hear the speakers in the back of the room. If there's any way the volume can be increased, why, it would certainly help us to be able to understand what's going on. But there again, thank you. My name is John Lanou. I'm a member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers of Los Angeles, Local 11. I've been a member for over 66 years, and I just want to thank the city of Rialto. I live here in Rialto, and I want to thank the city for the project labor agreements that you have signed with local contractors, such as the schools and the police department that's under construction. And we really appreciate you giving work to the unions so that we have a level playing field for bidding between union and non-union, so that everybody is oranges and oranges. We're able to bid at the same labor rate, and we really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
A thank you for your life's work in the building.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to say something? So again, these are some of the examples of kind of the hard work that our workers are doing in our city, and I just wanted to highlight them in honor of National Tradesmen's Day. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Baca?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In behalf really of the council, all of us here, I believe in the trades agreement that we have, but also the national trade agreements that a lot of labor does throughout the nation. You are the ones that really have built America. We are here today because of you. You are the workers that continue to provide the kind of service that we need in our communities, not only for yourselves, but our communities and for those that work within the community. And I know that the mayor, myself, and many of the others feel the same way that are present here today, but all of the trades that have worked together to make this country a lot better. Without you, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So thank you very much on behalf of all of us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's others. Okay.
Thank you. At my next presentation, I'd like to bring up Connie Morvotini, as well as Kathleen Brennan, if you'd like to join us, and Sherry. Sherry, if you'd like to come on up. So, you know, for Labor Day, there was a big kind of highlight of some of the work that Connie has been doing in our community in honor of Labor Day weekend. And so I joined with Teamsters Local 1932 to spotlight her work. And I have a little plaque here. It says, in recognition of your outstanding public service to the Rialto community, we commend you on your work with the Rialto Branch Library in honor of Labor Day. May your life's work to promote literacy continue to inspire generations of Rialto residents to pursue their goals and dreams. Again, signed by the mayor and the colleagues here on the city council, and I just wanted to recognize you and say a few words. I wanted to also let you know you've had a lot of contributions to this community. I think my wife was one of your assistants way back when she just came out of high school, and you had a imprint in our community because you know, for generations of kids that would come to the library or adults that are looking for work, you know, you would assist them and be able to guide them and be able to help them kind of move on and try to aspire to be great in their sense. So I wanted to take this moment to say thank you and to recognize your work and as well as your service also with the Teamsters Local 1932. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I've been in the city since 1970, and I went to the library as a child, and I always want to try to make Rialto a better place. I always tell the kids, do you know who went to this library? And you can go anywhere. Mm-hmm. You just have to read. Thank you very much.
It's helpful.
And I love being, I'm going to thank the Teamsters because it's made me be a better person. I think I can help my kids. One of my kids, they're all my kids, but he's now working at Stater Brothers, and he told me, it's a union job. I thought, oh, yes, I did it correct. I did something correct because he got that from me. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you, guys. This is my first city council meeting. I'm a little ashamed. I should come more often. Joe, you're very familiar with Joe Baca as well, but just thank you guys for taking the time to recognize the trades workers and that union's truly built this country, and we've built the middle class, and without unions, you know, we've got nothing. When unions are strong, this country is strong. So I appreciate you guys recognizing that and recognizing Connie, who I can just tell you is a ray of sunshine. Anywhere she goes, these kids are blessed to have her at that library, but she makes my day every day brighter. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you. And she leads by example.
All right. All right. Oh,
Thank you again.
one. All right, thank you. Oh, don't go, you can stay. Well, again, thank you, and thank you for Councilmember Trujillo taking the opportunity and acknowledging our labor, especially during the September month and Labor Day. Before we go in, a couple of things I would like to do is that we have a number of youth that are here, interns that are volunteering, and I have introduced some of the other ones in the past. And today I just would like to introduce two other high school interns that are volunteering with me and the city on various projects, and they are here today. And so they weren't sitting down, they're standing up because the room was a little packed. But I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Brenda Armento. Brenda is a senior at Pacific High School. She came out during Earth Day to volunteer with us, and she has enjoyed being here with us. She is also a captain of wrestling, and both of them are leaders of the biomedical program that's at Pacific High School. The second one that's also volunteering with me and with the city is Dinette. Dinette is also a senior at Pacific High School, and she also is a captain of wrestling. Dinette, I'm sorry, I did write down the last name, so. Ramos. Okay. And she's also the captain of wrestling, as well as a member of the leaders of the biomedical. So they have, with their schedule permits, they come over and they like to participate and be involved in some of the activities that are going on in our schools. So just wanted to let you guys also know that we're pulling in youth who want to be a part of our community and interact with Rialto, not only in our school district, but in other school districts as well. So thank you, ladies. And now I'm going to, in addition to what is going on as we're here having the meeting today, I have asked our fire chief, Mr. Brian Parks, if he would come up and give us an update on how we are involved in the status. But as we do that, I want to also make everyone aware that tomorrow, along with everything else, is 9/11 Day. And I asked earlier, we were acknowledging that event. It's been now 2001, so we are in 23 years. And I think we've moved it that we now are observing like every 5 years. But nonetheless, I watched 60 Minutes on Sunday, and it just really brought it back. I couldn't believe that it's been 23 years since that happened, and how many firefighters, 400 plus, were lost in firefighting and police, but it was 384, I think that they said was 343, yes, that's what I'm trying to remember. So, and as we sit here today, here we are with fires all over the county and in 2 counties. So, Chief Parks, if you don't mind, giving us a little update and how we're involved in it,
Sure.
okay?
Madam Mayor, City Council, and public. So briefly, the last few hours is cranked up a little bit, as you've seen outside as you were traveling here. The fire that's burning in the Rancho in the Mount Baldy area in Lone Pine is starting to be concerning. That fire has grown 7 times over in the past 4 hours. It was 4,000 acres before closed session started. Now it's looking at about 35,000 acres. We have immediate evacuations going on in Wrightwood and the Lone Pine Canyon area. So that's an immediate concern for us in the region. As we look around the rest of the area, just wanted to offer to the public and city council, there's a lot of applications out there. One that, we don't promote certain products, but one that will give you a lot of information that we use is, sorry, Gabe, is this app right here. It'll show you everything that's going on in the state of California. If you look at the line fire here, it'll show you our current perimeter and control zones. It's also going to show you all of the contemporary evacuation orders. Big Bear in particular went from an evacuation warning early this morning into now orders on the south side of the lake. We are working on moving some patients out of Bear Valley Hospital as we speak. So that is new information. The goal of this fire has been for the past several days to keep the fire south of Highway 18 up here, which is Big Bear right above it, and northwest of Highway 18 into the Angeles Oaks area. Right now, those fire perimeters are holding, but we do have several contingencies in the Big Bear area. Miraculously, we haven't lost any structures yet. If you recall back to the firestorm of 2003, the old fire, and 90,000 acres burnt, $1.2 billion in damage. We're at about 60,000 acres in the past week, and we haven't lost any homes. So that's a testament to the communication and collaboration of a lot of our partners, not just in public safety, but the Red Cross assistance, the electric companies, the utilities, and all of our volunteers. If the area that is of great concern right now, as we scroll over to what's going on here, the bridge fire. So the bridge fire, like I said, before closed session started, that was holding at about 5,000 acres. We're looking at 34,000 acres now, with immediate evacuations going on Mount Baldy Road, all the way up to the resort and the Wrightwood area. Wrightwood community is a complete evacuation, mandatory right now. So we have lots of resources moving in that direction from all over the state. Happy to share, this is all going to be on our social media, so just kind of giving everyone some options for situational awareness. One thing I'll say is we expect these fires to grow. With the weather change we have a little bit cooler weather pulling in, but we have an onshore flow going on right now. Onshore flow means the flow is coming in from the ocean, which is driving fire up the canyons. And we have a lot of creek beds, and as the creeks are great in drainage for water running down the canyons, when the winds turn and fires happen, those same areas are weak points for fire burning up the canyon. And so some of the things we look at as we look here, if we look at the weather and we look at the wind surface direction, you can see the weather is firing up the canyon, so that's where the fire growth is going to happen, right? Not very complicated to assume. So this is the way we're going to see the fire burn north to northeast over the next day and two, as we have the relative humidity very low right now. We're going to see some recovery in that over the next week, which is going to help firefighting efforts. Part of the problem we see here too is we have 50-year fire growth up in some of these basins. And so you have a lot of fire load with low humidities and low relative fuel moisture. But with the control lines, the dozer lines, and the retardant, we've been holding this south of the 18 and northeast of the 38. Let me get off of here. So the line fires continuing to hold just short of 30,000 acres, about 5% containment. The red flag warning came in today as predicted, and we saw a lot of rapid fire growth, both in this fire and the bridge fire. We're going to continue to see smoke and have hazardous conditions with the smoke and haze over the next few days. And as the sun came in today and that fire broke the thermal layer, it's almost like taking the pot off the fireplace. The fire really exploded here in the late afternoon. We have declared a local state of emergency, as well as the governor declared a state of emergency in San Bernardino County. So we're getting resources both federally and from the state as well as locally, fighting both these fires. At the same time, we're competing against fire demands from the fires going on near Lake Elsinore. So between ground and air resources, we are in some competition with our cooperators as we help each other. And there's ebb and flow throughout the day as the situation continues. Riverside will send resources over here during certain times of the day, and we'll reciprocate when we have critical fire danger in those areas. These evacuation orders continue to grow, right? We're in repopulation for the Highland area that we saw start a few days ago, so we're repopulating that area as we're evacuating the fire front areas that you'll see in Running Springs, Big Bear, and now the Lone Pine and Wrightwood areas. And again, all of these things will be on our social media pages. As far as Rialto resources, the mayor asked, we have resources in Highland and Running Springs. We have them over near Wrightwood, and we're helping in Riverside as well. We have some of our staff embedded with the local EOC, helping our CBOs out, not just with fire direct activities, but with our community-based organizations, Red Cross, faith-based, CERT. And so that's happening. The county EOC is in Rialto over by the off Myra Way. So we have staff embedded there as we help out. If we were able to log or zoom in here, our staff has continual situation where some of our resources are. So when you zoom in on our pages here, we can actually see our physical fire engines where they're located. We have an engine right here, and we have an engine right here. We just didn't have the live map up for the presentation, but we can continually see where our folks are regardless of where they are in the country on real live speed. Challenges, like I said, 50-year growth, significant fire loads, tough access to get into some of these points, Bear Creek drought conditions and difficult access points. The onshore winds and red flag situation didn't help. We're gonna see some recovery over the weekend and maybe even some rain. And like I said, we are competing with large fires in the region in both Riverside and Los Angeles County, which impacts our resource demands. Bridge fire, like I said, before we put this together this afternoon, that fire was holding at 5,000 acres. Now it's closer to 40. And so those evacuation orders have increased commensurate to that, specifically in the Wrightwood area. So what can you do at home? Obviously smoke situations, especially for those who are vulnerable, pets and everyone. My allergies are kicking up. Keep your filters clean. Masks are good. Having your medical plan ready. Generators are a great idea. If you have generators, you might want to make sure they have fuel. But we're taking a real close eye on air quality. While there is not a direct fire impact in Rialto, repeat, there's not a direct fire threat in Rialto. We do have the smoke conditions, and we do have things that we have to deal with people with pre-existing medical conditions and anyone who might be impacted by smoke. Local school closures are going to ebb and flow, and then the red flag conditions today and throughout the night are not helping the fire situation. So we're going to continue to monitor fire activity. Rialto Fire continues to support the local and statewide mission, and future updates will be shared on all of our social media pages with both what you can do at home, the evacuation zones, the evacuation numbers, the contact to local OES, the sheriff is all available on our pages throughout the day. And happy to answer any questions you might have, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. No, that was really good. And I just felt that we needed to share where we can go and what resources we have available. So I really appreciate you being able to put that together in 5 minutes. Council member.
I just want to make a comment
it's very good.
To say thank you to our firefighters and to our department that's assisting regionally with the fires that are impacting our area. So we should be commended, and our firefighters should be commended for being out there and providing assistance. So thank you very much on behalf of the rest of us here in the city of Rialto for helping our region become a lot safer and trying to put out these fires that are impacting our whole area, all the way from Wrightwood, which is part of the LA area, part of our county, to as well as San Bernardino. And I think when we come together, we work together, we can solve problems, and we can get to the meat of it, and hopefully, you know, with the weather changing, that we'll be able to put out these fires, and no one will lose a home, any more homes that have been lost already.
Councilmember Trujillo, you had your light on.
Yeah, thank you. I also want to thank the firefighters for their service. You know, I'm very appreciative of the work that we've done here at our city with our fire protection services. But it seems like every time there's questions about it throughout the rest of the county, I mean, you know, these are the situations where we need firefighters, and we need to make sure we have the protections that are needed. So I just wanted to acknowledge the importance of fire protection and how important it is to plan ahead for incidents like this where life is in danger, property is in danger. So thank you so much for covering this and kind of giving us more information on what's going on around us.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Yeah.
In the social media website, what is the best way that people can access what you said, that we can get it just so to,
So we'll put it back out on the network, but the fire
Okay.
department webpage is updated, you know, throughout the
And then
day as we go, and we share that with our cooperators from sister departments throughout the city,
okay.
and make sure we get that out on all the platforms.
Well, I want to just say, thank you again in closing, that you guys are out there on the line, but one of the other things I want to acknowledge is both the team of both sides of our public safety, because as you notice, the people who have to hold those lines are law enforcement while fire is up there. So I know that it's a dual act. If it's not our local police, it's our California Highway Patrol. It's somewhere in there, but it's a team effort, and I really appreciate that. So thank you.
And again, my hat's off to our local law enforcement partners, the sheriff and all the local safety.
Yeah.
They coordinate the evacuations, they coordinate those things. So every bit as important in getting our folks to safety as it is getting our folks in to fight the fire. So
Yeah.
Chief, did the governor release some aircraft today?
the governor has declared a state, and he's given us several aircraft. We got 2 DC-10s yesterday as in addition to 4 Blackhawks, which can do night operations, which is essentially as fire, weather tamps down, but we can't get crews out there. So yeah, the governor's helping out our situation.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Thank you so much. Okay. Yes, Chief, please.
I'm really sorry, everybody, but can you do me a big favor, check your cell phones and make sure the ringers are off? It's kind of really discouraging for the council to kind of listen, and people at home to keep hearing the distractions of the phones. And we miss critical information, so thank you so much. Please check your phones.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. And I too was wondering, you're sitting at the front row now, and I wondered if the volume had lifted in the back so that people could hear in the back row as well. You're okay up back there? Got it. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our oral communication, our presentations. Now, I'll ask the clerk if we have anyone who wanted to speak on general oral communication.
Yes, we do. We have Veronica Perez.
Veronica, okay. Good evening.
Thank you. So recently, an American activist was killed by the Israeli military in the occupied West Bank as she took part in a weekly protest against illegal Israeli settlements. This is a U.S. citizen who was killed by a foreign military. Earlier this year, President Biden declared to the world, "If you harm an American, we will respond." So far, there is no meaningful response from our government. There is no response to the settler violence in the West Bank, where Palestinian families are being kicked out of their homes and removed from their land. There is no response to the recent bombing of a humanitarian safe zone in the southern Gaza Strip, where displaced families were sleeping in tents. There are craters 9 meters deep where people are digging through the sand to try and find their loved ones buried underneath. There is no response to the reported 750,000 Israeli citizens who took to the streets in protest of Benjamin Netanyahu not accepting a ceasefire deal that would end the conflict and bring the hostages home. Just recently, on August 31st, veteran Israeli hostage negotiator Gershon Baskin released the following statement, quote, "About 2 weeks ago, the Hostage Families Forum asked me to try to conduct a direct negotiation with Hamas on their behalf. That's what I did, and within 2 weeks, I obtained agreement to a 3-week deal, the release of all 107 Israeli hostages, the end of the war, and Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, an agreed release of the names and number of Palestinian prisoners. The entire Hamas leadership agrees to this outline, but our Netanyahu does not want to end the war. End quote. The hostage families are begging for anyone who cares about their loved ones to use their voices so that the U.S. exerts pressure on Netanyahu, and that means we need an arms embargo now. We need to end this now. So what will your response be? To continue to ignore a genocide funded and supported by our government? That indifference to human suffering is the same indifference that creates violence in this country. Some politicians will have you believe that school shootings are just a fact of life that we have to accept, that the Second Amendment is more important than protecting our kids while they're supposed to be safe at school. Firearms are the leading cause of death for American children and teens, and yet some of us still want to pretend there is nothing our government can do about it. This is the same indifference that justifies killing innocent Palestinian children, and it's wrong. We need to follow international law and our own Leahy law and stop providing offensive weapons to military units committing gross human rights violations. This council has the ability to enact change by passing a ceasefire and arms embargo resolution. As a veteran, a mother, a taxpayer, and fellow human being, I beg you to stop ignoring the truth. And I'm gonna go off, not on my notes, but imagine what we could do with the billions of dollars we send to a government that is committing gross human rights violations. On the eve of 9/11, the disaster of invading Iraq and Afghanistan, where over 1 million people died indirectly because of military action where we knew it was not going to change anything. Is anything better for Afghanistan girls? For the people in Iraq? We're doing the same thing and we're pretending it's not happening. It's not okay. We have a voice. We can discuss passing a resolution to say something to our elected officials. If you think I'm crazy, that's on you. I'm not going to stop coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Lupe Camacho.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Okay, I don't know if this is really working, but good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, staff, and residents, fellow residents. I know I haven't been here for a while, and I usually don't address the council unless I find something that is of benefit for our community and or I find something that is creating confusion and chaos among our residents. So tonight I have two topics that I wanted to cover, that I wanted to bring to your attention. First of all, I wanted to inform everyone, I am a member, again, my name is Lupe Camacho, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters, and I wanted to put out there the information about the League of Women Voters being a nonpartisan organization who roots came out of the suffragist movement. And so, of course, I uphold everyone's right to vote, and I want to support everybody's right to vote. Doesn't matter what, whether you're a Republican, Independent, a Democrat, doesn't matter. It is very important that we all vote. And so the League of Women Voters is coming out with their nonpartisan review of the propositions that we're going to be facing for this term of elections. So I wanted to put that out there. League of Women Voters is, our website is the League of Women Voters of San Bernardino area, and so those will be available for anybody to use. We also, our local chapter does presentations. So if you know of an organization that would like for us to come and present those propositions and show the pros and cons, that's the kind of information that we release. Absolutely nonpartisan. It doesn't take one side or the other. It's just absolutely nonpartisan, and provides individuals with additional information of where these propositions come from, as well as who is backing them, and then information, real detailed information about the actual write-up of the proposition. So I wanted to bring that to the community, obviously, as a resource, because elections are coming. And so that brings me to the second item that I wanted to address with you tonight. And you know, obviously, Madam Mayor, I know we haven't seen each other for a while. I do like the hair, by the way. I love the lighter color. I've never been brave enough to do that, but who knows? Maybe someday I will be, but I do like it. It looks good. I wanted to make sure that I addressed this because multiple residents came to me asking me about it, particularly those that speak Spanish, the voters that are Spanish speakers. So they asked me if you were no longer the mayor. Because there are advertisements, campaign advertisements. I realize we're in campaign mode, campaign advertising mode, but there are the advertisements from Councilmember Trujillo that state our mayor. And they thought that somehow, some way, there was an election and that suddenly you were not the mayor. I assured him otherwise, so I wanted to confirm with you, you're still the mayor, correct? As far as you know? Okay, so I wanted to make sure that that was something I brought to the attention of the council. I understand we are in campaign mode. I get it. I fully understand that. But it is important that we don't mislead our community. And our Spanish speakers particularly were the ones that came to me asking me, was there an election that we didn't know about? I mean, we didn't even realize it. Most of these, residents are very busy making, ends meet, going to work and barely making it home for their kids to make dinner and get them ready for the next day of school. So they're not, as civically engaged as most of us would like to be, let's say that. But they were concerned. They came to me and said, hey, we've seen these signs. Did we have an election? Do we have a different mayor? Because the signs say our mayor. And I clarified for them, no, our mayor is Deborah Robertson. And they said, oh, okay, because all these signs, and they took pictures of them and sent them to me. So I want to make sure that you guys are cognizant of how powerful those advertisements are, just as they're powerful when you show somebody smoking a cigarette and looking like that's not going to give you cancer, right? We need to be cognizant of that. And again, our Spanish speakers in our community, they depend on us to give them accurate information. And when we provide misleading information like that, we confuse them, we frighten them because they thought there was an election they missed that they didn't know happened back 2 years ago in 2022. And so we need to be very clear with our community and make that clarity available for them. So again, I wanted to bring it to your attention, Madam Mayor and council members, so that you also can take some action with regards to that. We have to be very clear about the information we give our community. Thank you very much for giving me the time. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, Council, I'm not sure if Mr. Bennett want to speak on the tab item or just on oral communication. I'm not sure.
Mr. Bennett, did you want to speak under general oral communication?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, councilpersons and Mayor Robinson. My name is Estevan Bennett. I'm Executive Director of Rialto Family Health Service. And I wanted to introduce a new program that our agency has, and that's going to be in the healthcare component. And it involves collaboration with Dignity Health and Community Service Department. What we'll be doing is bringing a mobile van free to the residents, those that are insured or not insured, that they can see. It's going to be one time a week, 1 day out the month on Thursdays, I believe. We're on between 9 and 1 p.m. The van will come in and we'll have advertisement. All this is financed by Dignity Health, and it will be on the property of the Community Service Department. And we'll be having flyers. It'll be on television, the local network. And what we're trying to do is just bring a more health consciousness to the Rialto residents. And we also have some more things planned on that involving free food distribution and whatnot. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention, the direction we're going with new programs.
Okay.
Is there any questions?
No, other than you said one Thursday a month. Is it the
Yes.
first, second, third,
Second
fourth?
Thursday.
Second Thursday?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
But we'll have the flyers out within the next 2 weeks, and we'll make sure they're distributed throughout the community.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Please. I think that's really great. Thank you. Anything else? That concludes? Okay, well, thank you for the information. It was our period, it was very informative. I really appreciate the information that was given. So now we will go to look at the agenda, and if there's anything anyone needs to maybe recuse themselves on. I have an item that is in the warrants, and I will be recusing myself from acting on a warrant, and I will pull the number up here shortly. But in the meantime, it's a payment that was made to the National Council of Negro Women. And so, out of abundance of caution, council has advised me to sustain or recuse myself from acting on that item. Anything else?
I just want a little bit more explanation on F3, on the SAPA grant that we're pursuing.
All right.
Grant.
Well, I don't know if there's anyone in the audience because.
Maybe the subcommittee can.
Yeah, well, we can, but I didn't know if you, go ahead.
The purpose of us going after this money is that it
Oh,
was
there's Toyasha.
additionally available money that SAPA had for sewer to, or septic to sewer connections. And we have some locations that are viable locations, so we decided to apply for the money, but I'll turn it over to Toyasha.
Councilor Trujillo, I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Yeah, just the locations. I know there's a lot of areas in the city that still need to be converted, but in the conversion, but like what areas are you looking at maybe? Because I have some ideas where some of the neighbors aren't connected, and I was just wondering if this covers some of them, because I couldn't really look at the locations here.
So the area that we're looking at for the SAPA grant is over there north by the 210 freeway. In that area, it's marked as area number 3, which is on the PDF document, and you can look more closer at that area there.
I see. Okay, 3. Okay.
And
thank you.
Would you mind to maybe elaborate on why we identified that area, because of how many, I think it should have been maybe explained in there, but how many people we would be able to hook up in one area, if I'm not mistaken. We looked at how many were along that certain line.
Yes, so the SAPA grant is for $319,000. We looked at several areas in the city which we've identified as possibly being on septic systems. In order to better leverage that grant, we saw that that would almost fully fund the area of number 3, which is on the attachment, which would convert 12 residential units, take them off of septic and connect them to our sewer system. And part of that would also be abandoning the septic system there that's at their household. So it'll be a pilot project for us just to see what the actual cost is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Council members.
I think it's good that we're going after this funding, because most of the people that are there on septic tanks, and they'd like to go on to sewage, and it becomes so expensive for them to make the transition from septic to sewage that we will be able to provide for them. So I'm glad that we're submitting for that proposal. Hopefully we can do the same thing as we begin to look at other areas that we'd like to annex that need to change to as well. So I commend the committee for coming up with that recommendation, so thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to echo and extend that to staff, because we have so many hookups that need to occur that we really, where was, thoughtfulness, even some sites that would be closer to the actual treatment plant. But again, we recognize that they were in all close proximity, and there was a system there, and it's the best way we could spend the money that was available, so.
Yeah, I'd like to pull an item.
Huh?
I'd like to pull an item.
Okay, what item would you like to pull?
E4.
B4?
No, E4.
E4, okay,
Is
thank
that
you.
F4? I'm sorry,
Mr.
F4?
Toya.
Yeah,
F4?
F4.
Okay.
Yeah, F4.
Well, while you're pulling F4, Council Bell, General Counsel, Eric Bell. Eric.
Sorry, I'm trying to find F4.
Okay, no, I was just going to say, could you also give me the warrant number. I was trying to look for it in that email
Oh.
that you sent me, but I couldn't find it. I just want to make note of it.
Let me grab it.
Okay, so you want to pull F4?
F4.
Okay, and I see that we have Miss Tanya Williams, Assistant City Manager's there. Ask.
So, good evening. Did you have a question on F4? Did you want me to do a presentation on
Tell
it?
me why we're asking the city of Rialto to write a letter asking the governor to veto some, AB 98, and why should the city of Rialto be involved in something that the state is making decisions on?
Yeah. So, Councilmember Trujillo.
Well, you know, I'm part of the League of Cities, and, you know, part of the working group that we're part of asked the cities to write opposition letters to this bill. Part of it is the local control issue, but the other is also the negative impacts that we'll have, not just in our cities, but on different ones. They even have like a penalty for us not being in compliance under their new standards. So I was just, you know, in partnership with the cities around us who are also have similar kind of industrial economies like ours, asked that this be put on the agenda, and that we oppose the legislation.
Just because the League of City asks doesn't mean that we have to do it. I think we have to look at impact it has on us, and if it has a direct impact on us, then we should be involved.
And
It doesn't matter what other cities
Excuse me,
say.
wait a minute. Both of you cannot speak at the same time. And I think that if you want to pull the item, then we will pull it and have a discussion. But in addition to this being here, I also want to let you know that through a coalition of Southern California mayors, I have also signed a letter and already sent it out under my signature in collaboration with mayors. Same thing. This is a matter that has been ongoing. So if we want to sit and really debate and discuss it, then I would say make the presentation, and then we will each hear from each other, and then we will vote on it. How's that? Okay? All right. So because it has been pulled as an item, I know you probably, this letter, just so you know, Councilmember Baca, is the letter now going to the governor to veto it because on the late night Friday evening, when not all of the legislative bodies were there, they managed to effectively push to get it out of both the state Senate and the committees and the Assembly, and that move it to the governor's desk for now for veto. So if there's anything else that you'd like to add to that, please.
Yeah, so I just have a short presentation. I don't have very much prepared, but yeah, so essentially the item before you is a request to authorize staff to submit a letter to the governor's office vetoing Assembly Bill 98, which is a planning and zoning law that came through the legislative process at the very end of the legislative session, as you mentioned, Mayor. This bill will go into effect starting in January of 2026 and would prescribe various statewide warehouse design standards, but more specifically would require certain provisions for cities within warehouse designated areas that includes the city of Rialto. Tonight, we're recommending that the City Council authorize staff to move forward with submitting the letter to the governor's office to veto this bill. This recommendation is based on concerns that while the bill intends at addressing air quality and other environmental concerns, this bill left out cities out of the conversation and negotiations and came through the legislative process at the very end of the legislative session. The governor has until the end of this month to either approve or deny this bill. And I think we mentioned some of the other things already, but essentially, if the council were to approve the veto letter this evening, we would coordinate with our state lobbyist, ARC Strategies, to submit the letter to the governor's office and also coordinate with them to continue to voice our concern with the governor's office as he reviews the opposition through the end of the month.
Okay. All right. Now, if you would like to have anything more, would you like Councilmember Trujillo to speak? Councilmember Scott?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve a letter requesting Governor Newsom to veto Assembly Bill 98. And I call for a roll call.
Okay. All right. It's been moved by Councilmember Scott and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. And we're calling for a roll call vote. And while I have the attention of the audience and those that are also listening, I want to also add to this situation is that this is, I hate to say it, but it's basically it's another switch in bait or movement. We pushed back on AB 1000, and if the part of what I really have a problem with this bill, I mean, there can be all these set-asides, and right now, we're dealing with air quality conditions that's nothing to do with a warehouse or a building. And a building is a building. You don't know what's going to go in the building until it's built. But what I really have a problem with, for me personally, is for our representatives to partner with anyone and manage to get people to vote to concern themselves about a moratorium or restrictions on just two counties in California out of 58 counties. This puts undue burden, economic delay, job opportunities. And I've said to people, and I'm going to say it to the audience now, everything that goes in a building, coffee nuts is in a building, Starbucks is in a building, call the building. But we have in our city, in over 30 years, a manufacturing company that builds the launch pads for the space program, Martinez and Torres. And Martinez and Torres is not a fulfillment center or warehousing or FedEx or anyone like that. You need to know what's in the building. But I really take issue with the member, our member, who has led this charge to take San Bernardino County and Riverside County out of the economic equation of what's going to be able to generate jobs, high-quality paying jobs, technical jobs, and put us on the back burner, not to mention anything that ends up having to be diverted from coming from the Port of LA and Long Beach straight through here is going to be added costs to the consumer when it gets rerouted to either Port Jaime or Port Oakland, because San Diego is not a industrial port. I know it because I was born there, raised there. I know exactly what it is. It's not industrial. So that's, I want people to understand, you know, we're all in it together. And whatever is happening in air and the impacts, you can't bring whatever you have home that you use, that you enjoy, including your groceries, in on your back of your bike or on your back. So I really wish we would open up our minds and think about, we are not experiencing anything any different than anyone else in the Southern California region, but that will really affect us and the ability for anyone. Right now, if you don't know, I'm going to share you. Rialto is doing very well, and believe it or not, 2/3 of the people in our city are homeowners. That's a heck of a number. 111,000 people, and 2/3 own homes. And they aren't all out on the freeway commuting. They're working and they're living here in the region. So I will stop there and call for the vote. Clerk.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Baca.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Carisados.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye. Thank you. Okay.
Now you're gonna go back to the consent calendar?
Excuse me?
The consent calendar?
Move approval.
The consent calendar?
Yes,
Mayor, you did ask for some additional information, and it's on item B1, it's warrant resolution 08. You mentioned it was the National Council of Negro Women. It's check number 238556, and it's the amount of $4,025.57.
Move approval of the consent
I'll let
calendar.
that reflect in the record. Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Baca, seconded by Councilmember Scott. Any objections to moving the consent? Hearing none, motion carries. We're on to tab number 1.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. The item before you is requesting that City Council conduct a public hearing and solicit public comment from interested citizens, adopt a resolution approving fiscal year 23-24 consolidated annual performance and evaluation report for CDBG. I will have Miss Anna Lanou come forward and do the presentation.
Good evening. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, and staff. I will be presenting the item before the public hearing. So this evening, we're requesting to hold a public hearing to discuss fiscal year 2023 through 2024 consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, and I'll refer to that as the CAPER. Next slide, please. So, next slide, please. Do I have it? Oh, sorry. There we go. I have too much control. There we go. So the CAPER, the city receives funds from HUD for CDBG funding, and there's 2 reports that are required to be reported back to HUD annually. One is to tell HUD how we plan on using the funds, which is called the annual action, the AAP, the annual action program. And then the second one is to report back to HUD how we actually use the funds. So that's the CAPER. And it summarizes activities for the fiscal year that just passed, and it's due to HUD in September. And so we're presenting to you the findings. So the accomplishments for 2023 include funding that was programmed for each activity listed, and then there's a unit of measure that is the goal that's established for each one of these tasks or activities, and then we'll provide you information on how each activity actually was performed. So for as part of your program administration, 20% amount, 2023 Inland Fair Housing and Mediation Board expected, or their goal in their application was to serve 96 people, and they actually served 383 people. Under infrastructure and facilities, we have a number of projects that have been previously programmed. One was completed. We're referring to that as Building 300, which was the community center building and the tenant improvements. That project was completed. The second project, which we refer to as Building 400, has required 3 years of program funds. We now have enough funds to actually implement the program, so that project will be completed this fiscal year. I think we anticipate by February of next year. The 2022 amount that was programmed for sidewalk, curb, and gutter was completed, and the 2023 amount that's been programmed is underway. It's not completed yet, so that shows the 0 for that. Under housing preservation for the mobile home repair program, there are 2 years of funding listed here. We spend the oldest money first, so the 2022 funds, there have been 6 actually conducted, 6 mobile home repairs completed, and then there's enough funds for 7, and that's the current program that they're working on. Currently, there are 9 in review, and there's 17 on the wait list. I'll go into more detail on the public services on the next slide. And then for the final item is the Section 108 loan. This one is for the Bud Bender Section 108 loan, and that is going through to 2038. So that's a loan payment that will be consistent every year. I think a year ago was when the senior center Section 108 loan was paid off. So a little more detail on the public services accomplishments. We track, each subrecipient provides information along with their reimbursement requests. And so you can see the goal and then how many they actually served in the community. And then the column that says eligible CDBG participants, that column is a number that's reported to HUD, and that's based on the participants that actually complete the forms and turn them back in. Some people decline to complete the forms. That's why, per your request, we also track the number of total people that have been assisted. So for Sunrise Church of California, that was a food insecurity program. Their goal was 150. The total participants served were 71, And a lot of these were reoccurring, like this is just unduplicated count. And then eligible CDBG participants that were reported was 48 for a goal percentage of 32%. Legal Aid Society of San Bernardino, they far exceeded their goal. Well, they served 1,178 people, and they were 98% to goal. So they expected 150, and 147 completed their paperwork, and we submitted that. Rialto Family Health Services, they met 95% of their goal. Their goal was 40. They assisted 38 that were reported to HUD, but total was 43. The Bethune Center reported they would assist 26. They actually served 85, and we reported 40, so that's 154% to goal. Working Dogs for Warriors, that program did not get going, so that's a 0%. And the mobile recreation program that was provided predominantly at Willowbrook, but also other parks, the goal was 150. They actually served over 300, and we were able to report 20. That's 13%. And then as mentioned before, the Inland Fair Housing Mediation Board, that was 96 to goal, was the goal. They total participants served was 383, and that's 99% for a total percentage of 92% complete. On the funded programs, this is basically the budget for the fiscal year. Allocation was 2.7 million. That's the second column, so you can see 2.7 million. Areas that where I can tell you the balances are still there. You have expended funds of 1.1 million, and then drawn down through HUD through IDIS was the same amount. So everything that was reimbursed has also been drawn down by HUD, so by the city. So HUD has already given the funds back. The balances that are left here would be about 50,000 from the Building 300 that was not needed to complete that project. Building 400, as I mentioned, is underway, so you have a little under $1 million there that will be completed this fiscal year. And then the second sidewalk curb and gutter is about 200,000 balance. And then we have about 180,000 that's left for the mobile home preservation program. Other than that, everything was pretty much spent very timely. A quick CV update. The CAPER is predominantly for CDBG, but there is just a small section on CV, just an update. For that, your total allocation is 1.33 million, and so far expended is $899,136. And these funds need to be spent by February of 2027. So we still have some time, and we will be looking to receive applications for the balance of the funds, and then we'll be coming back to the ad hoc for recommendations and bringing that back to the city council as a substantial amendment, but that will be at a later time. So finally, we would recommend that the city council open the public hearing and solicit comments from interested citizens on the consolidated annual performance and report evaluation. And then secondly, ask that the council adopt a resolution approving the fiscal year 2023 through 2024 CAPER and authorize the city manager to submit fiscal year 23-24 CAPER to HUD. And the due date for that submittal is September 27th of this year. Any questions?
Well, yes, just a point of clarification, because I was looking at the document that went out in the agenda packet, and I was checking that last page that you second to the last in your PowerPoint presentation. The numbers they're not consistent with what's in this presentation. The last CV funded programs, I think you said, when I looked at your slide, if you can go back to it, and I was just wondering, the number at the end, if I can read it correctly, is 879,136.60. But
The
in
funds reimbursed by HUD so far.
Huh?
The funds reimbursed by HUD?
I'm just going by, maybe I'm looking at the wrong page. It looked like it was the same page.
But the 879 number, is that the last column number on the?
Yes,
Mhm.
but here you have 885, 613, 82. And your other number was, on here it's 905, 613, 82.
905.
But it's different up there. And
Yeah, the rental mortgage utility number is different. It's throwing the numbers at the bottom.
right. Which one? The rental mortgage?
Yeah, that's the only difference in that column.
Yeah.
It's throwing the
I just
numbers
wanted,
up.
because this is being viewed by the audience,
Yeah.
and if
So-
you go look at the package, it's
I understand.
kind of off here.
As the reimbursements come in, the reimbursement requests come in, they get processed, the city pays the reimbursement, and then at a certain time, Finance Department will do what we call a draw through IDIS, so that HUD will give back the, reimburse the city then for the funds. So maybe it's timing is possibly
Yeah. I
the
don't know.
situation there, so I can look into it,
It
but
is-
that would be if it's off by a few dollars.
The question is that it doesn't match what we have here. When we look at the slide presentation up at the top, and that was the mayor's question.
Yeah, I'm just saying they're off.
We
And this is a
understand.
public hearing, and the public is looking at it, and.
Hearing.
What?
The public is hearing and seeing.
And so, I mean, once we accept it, we either make corrections and say exactly, is that accurate? I mean, I hear what you're saying, but somehow you got an updated slide, and
Right.
and this
Sorry about
went out last Wednesday, and so
Maybe that's probably.
so that's the concern. So let's just recognize that and make a notation.
Yes.
So we can open up the
I
public
can
hearing.
read it again. So for, what was reported was that the rental mortgage utility the allocation was 560,000. The program funds expended to date were 539,979, and the funds reimbursed by HUD was the same amount. That's what what you have in your report, correct?
Well,
That's different than what's up here on the screen. So I'm
Yep.
I'm saying to the folks that didn't see this one, that was in your report,
Which one is accurate?
that's wrong.
Which one's accurate, though?
The one with the most reimbursement.
The higher one.
It's ours. The
Yeah,
one
so
that
this
we have in
is,
our
the
possession.
one on the screen that I have here is not. It's
Yeah.
short a few, short
Okay.
$6,000.
maybe you can
Thank you.
substitute and
Correct.
put it up on the screen, so this way they know the
Yes, sir.
correct
I
one.
don't have this one.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
sorry.
Okay, well,
And
let's,
if I may also note that these numbers are not included in the CAPER. This is an update. The numbers that are included in the CAPER are just regular CDBG. So this is just an update on the activity for CB,
okay.
just so you know.
But
Correct.
when you're holding a public hearing, people are looking at, and we're putting into our official records. This is the actual snapshot. So that's
This
it.
is right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, this is a public hearing, and if there's anyone who would like to speak to this item, Madam City Clerk, did anybody express, we have nobody that's expect.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Scott and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Is
Move-
there any
Move
objection?
approval of Resolution 8287.
Second.
Okay, I did have a
With the
question.
corrected,
Yeah, with the corrections, but I also had a question, just quickly on the things you reported. And I noted as you shared the information, I would recommend or suggest, because this is, I guess, what happens right at the moment, but when you went through it, you gave information about the number of things the agencies had actually seen. I'll give you an example. You said that legal aid saw 1,178 people or services, but only 147 could be papers that they collected. So maybe we should asterisk that and add that, because it shows how much service they have provided on behalf of the city of Rialto, but there was only so many that qualified. So they spent a lot of time helping people. but they still, unfortunately, didn't meet the goal. I mean, of what they were, they should have had 147, and they ended, 150, and they ended up 147.
Can I
So
follow up on that?
just a notation. I just split it and said, hey, well, the shows demonstrates a lot of service with these dollars, but they did not fill out the paperwork, or whatever paperwork they provided did not qualify for counting that service.
So the paperwork we're talking about, the paperwork is from the participants.
Yes, that's what, I'm talking about that too.
And sometimes they don't want to submit the paperwork.
Okay. Yes,
Just a point of clarification on the same subject matter. On the legal aids services, of the 1,178 that served, how many of those are Rialto residents that they served, or are they all Rialto?
They all-
Just for clarification, I want her to.
Oh, well,
I would have to look that up. I don't know for certain. And I can get that for you. I can determine that for you.
okay.
See, because it could be,
Well, they should be reporting people they serve in Rialto with the resources that are provided by Rialto. I hear what you're saying, but
just want clarification to make sure. And then
Okay.
I have one other question
Go
too
ahead.
that I had, is on the mobile home repairs for 2023, when is it going to be completed? You said,
There currently are 9 in review. So they're in the process of being reviewed for eligibility. And then there's a process of going, putting the work write-up together, go out to bids, and then the actual work will get done, close out, those types of things. So that process is underway for 9 of them.
but when will that be completed? 2024, 2025?
Though, yes, it'll be this fiscal year.
Okay,
It'll be
that's what I
completed
just
this
wanted to,
fiscal year.
because it doesn't say when, it just,
Yeah, because the report is for the activity for last fiscal year, but these will be completed this fiscal year.
thank you.
You're welcome.
all right, we have a first and a second.
I have a question.
And you have a question?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Turn your light. There you go, sir. Sure.
Thank you. So for the working
You have a
dogs for warriors, can you explain what was going on there? How come no eligible?
I know that they were unable to get the program going, and when multiple requests and calls and meetings, they were unable to get the program going, so they basically said they weren't going to be implementing the program. I can't recall if it was staffing or, I'm not too sure, but they didn't spend any of the funds. They didn't get reimbursed for anything.
Oh, because it says there's 78 total participants served.
Am I thinking of the wrong one? Did I say the wrong one?
No, so they received money for both regular CDBG and CV. For CDBG, the numbers that you're looking at for the Cape Red, while they did service 78, they were not able to collect any forms that we could turn into HUD to get those numbers counted for. So that organization struggled with securing any of the proper documentation to verify that residents that qualified in Rialto were served.
Gotcha.
So sometimes our struggles, and even in my department with mobile rec, while you see our goal is 150, we only collected 20 forms, but we served over 300 people. It's collecting that information from them so that we can turn into HUD through our report. So that's a challenge for us sometimes.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Trio, you had a question.
Yeah, I think one thing that I learned through this process is the annual is confined to services for Rialto residents in these participating census tracts. But what I learned on the CV side is that the focus is on the coronavirus and some of the impacts it has, not necessarily geographical. And I think that's what was the slight difference between the two different programs. So I just wanted to bring that out to the public. And, I went in kind of thinking they're very similar in that way, but it's just a little bit of a difference. But thank you.
Okay. So we have a first and a second. Any objections to accepting the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for 2023-24? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, thank you. On to number 2. All righty.
Okay. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Daniel Casey, Principal Planner for the City of Rialto, and I'll be giving the presentation on tab 2 tonight, which is regarding the proposed formation of Community Facilities District number 2024-1, also referred to as CFD 2024-1 or just CFD. On July 23rd, 2024, the City Council adopted Resolution number 8255, declaring an intention to establish CFD number 2024-1 for a new residential development project known as Renaissance Residential Phase 1. The Renaissance Residential Phase 1 development is located immediately to the south of the Renaissance Marketplace and will consist of 429 single-family residences upon completion. The CFD is intended to finance the project's public infrastructure costs and the project's development impact fees, as well as the establishment of a special tax for mitigating the project's impacts on city services, including police, fire, and other public services. The CFD will include 2 special taxes, known as Special Tax A and Special Tax B. Special Tax A will pay for the debt on bonds issued for the construction of the project public improvements and the development impact fees. That tax will begin at an annual rate of $2,030 to $2,492 annually per dwelling unit, depending upon the size of the home, and then will increase 2% annually thereafter. Special Tax A will be levied levied until it is no longer needed to pay for the principal and interest on those bonds, but also not to exceed 50 years in any case. Special Tax B will pay for the project's impacts on city services. Special Tax B will have begin with an annual rate of $448 per dwelling unit and will increase annually the lesser of CPI or 3%. And then Special Tax B will remain in perpetuity with the land. The CFD, I want to just make note, is only applicable to the properties within the Renaissance Residential Phase 1 development, and its taxes do not apply to any other areas within the City of Rialto. The resolutions and the ordinance before the City Council tonight will complete the formation of CFD number 2024-1 for the Renaissance Residential Phase 1 development. In conjunction with the resolutions and ordinance, the formation of the new CFD requires a special election voted on by the current property owners. In this case, there is only one property owner, and that is the developer of the Renaissance Residential Phase 1 development.
Move approval.
That concludes my presentation.
It's a public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just to end there, say staff recommends that the council conduct a public hearing
Yeah, I was thinking, well, did I
and
miss something?
adopt Resolution 8288 determining the validity of prior proceedings, adopt Resolution 8289 determining the necessity to incur bonded indebtedness and calling for a special election, then hold the special election, and then adopt Resolution 8290 certifying the election results, and then introduce and waive the first reading of Ordinance Number 1695 authorizing the levy of a special tax within the CFD. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, and is there anyone who has put, City Clerk, any requests in to speak to this item? Okay. Is there anyone from in the audience? If not now,
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
okay. It's been moved by Councilmember Scott and second to close by a couple of folks. I will give it to Councilmember Trujillo. I think I heard over here. Any objections? We'll close the public hearing. Now, before we act on it, I have questions. Does anybody else have questions about
Move approval.
the process? I said no before we, you hold that. You'll get the chance. You get to put the motion. Anyone else have any questions? Councilmember Trujillo.
I have a question about the boundaries. Because I'm looking I'm looking at here and it's like I see Shoalway there. That means that there's the retail on one side. And then so this is just the residential area?
Correct.
What's south of that?
So yes, the CFD before the council tonight is, the boundary is just the phase 1 area of the Renaissance residential area. Immediately to the south, there's the fire station along Ayala Drive, and there's some existing industrial developments. But the CFD boundary, it's a very odd-shaped piece of land, about 41 acres. That's the area that will have the 429 dwellings, and that's the only area that this CFD would apply to.
Okay. Thank you. I have a better idea.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, I have a kind of a broader question, because this is now the residential area that's at the Renaissance and under the Lewises. However, and maybe this was a question that Mr. Catatali could get up or speak to. We recently had some things that were raised about developments that were either with CFDs or with not, expecting to be a gated community or not. And I don't know what the status is, where we are at that right now, but I know that there was something that was brought to our attention that was in the documents of what we acted upon as we moved for the development of this facility. And my only question, without going into detail, is that I don't know if we've gotten a clarity on that issue from legal, but I wanted to make sure we're not finding ourselves with having possibility the same situation, given that it's a different developer developing, but the housing developer is the same, and the documents got to come back through us on their behalf as well. So without being able to be specific, because I don't know the outcome, could you assure me that we are not, we've checked that whatever we're doing and we won't have the same situation that we're looking at for the River Ranch situation?
Yes, Colby Catali, Director of Community Development. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor and Council. I think it's an excellent question. Lennar is the master and merchant builder of the River Ranch community, which is the community that you were speaking of earlier. That is a non-gated community that was fully entitled, and then obviously permitted in certain phases, and tracks are being built today. The project before you is handled differently by the Lennar Development Company in that it is a gated community. So this first phase and all of its 429 individual lots will be gated and will be subject to the requirements of those rules within the gated community and the approval of the CC&Rs by the Department of Real Estate for California and the conditions of approval by the city. The matter that you're referring to on the River Ranch community, we have done extensive research in the planning documents. We have consulted with our legal counsel on some interpretation of the documents. There is a transition of ownership or HOA representation that is shifting from Lennar over to the residents. That will take place over the coming months or years, depending on if there's another 50 or 100 units developed over the next couple of years that will be accepted by the city. The other rules around HOA assets and maintenance interests of those assets that could be transferred from either Lennar to an HOA ownership, that is still under discussion, but we think in the next week or two we'll have better and more clear information for the HOA itself and be able to respond thoroughly either by the end of this week or next week. I do know that there's an HOA meeting coming up, I think this week, and Lennar will be having a pretty open discussion about the River Ranch community, about the HOA assets being the parks and the parkways, and the rights or options that the residents can have in terms of their future of a gated community or just taking over certain interests and assets, and whether it's related to fencing, securitizing, or even changing some of the assets in the parks.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that update and recap quickly. My only concern was in sitting and meeting with everyone, what really bothered me was that we do have a role by virtue of our documents. Some documents go, I think it was the CCRs. They go through our legal review, and the legal departments signed off on whatever was there and that held the city pretty much tied into the situation. So I just want to make sure that as we work and resolve that, that we don't find ourselves this time that, yes, we knew, we relied on, this was not the council, but we relied on that firm. They signed something, and later it came out that it probably really wasn't the way it had found it out, way it was presented, way we understood, but there are some things that have to be resolved. So appreciate it. Just thought I need to ask that now. Okay, so with that.
Make a motion.
Okay, motion over here.
I'll second.
Seconded over by Councilman Trio. He has a question.
Well, really quick. I think in the past developments, we asked about video cameras for safety purposes. Will this development also have that requirement as part of this CFD?
Oh, that's a very interesting question there. Daniel.
Yes, so the development did include the Planning Commission approval of a precise plan of design for the development itself. In there, the police department did provide conditions of approval to require the installation of cameras hooked up to the FUSA system. My understanding is, though, that in a residential neighborhood, they're more limited to the open space areas as opposed to individual residential lots. But that the developer is required to coordinate with the police department on installation of cameras.
Because even the entrances or the exits are really important, especially when cars are being kind of stolen. You could easily do like license plate readers for that. All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Right, did you have a question, Councilmember Scott? You left.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Okay.
For the special tax bonds and appropriation limit for Stephen S. Bennett. For the number, I don't know what number, I'm open the ballot. So he voted yes for the proposition. Shall the City of Rialto Community Facilities District number 2024-1 Renaissance DC FD to be authorized to levy special tax in order to furnish certain facilities and service, and subject to accountability measures, incur bonds and debtors in the maximum amount not to exceed 25 million, and shall annually appropriate the limits to CFD to establish in the amount of 25 million, all as specific to the resolution and formation of the resolution calling a special election adopted by the City Council of the City of Rialto on September the 10th, 2024.
And Mayor, the record should also reflect that the landowner had 42 qualified votes. They cast all 42 votes. All votes were yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
All right.
And the paper did indicate the 24 votes. Thank you, City Attorney.
All right.
So who made the motion?
I did.
So the motion was made by Councilmember Baca with adopting resolution 8288 to determine to establish the 2024-1, and then resolution 8289 determined the necessity of incurring the bonds and debt, and resolution 8290 canvasses and the result of the election, and the ordinance 1695 for authorizing the levy of the special tax within the community facilities of District 2024-1 in the Renaissance. And who made the second? here, so I'm going to read the ordinance into the record. Ordinance 6595, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Rialto acting in its capacity as the legislative body of the City of Rialto Community Facilities District number 2024-Renaissance, authorizing the levy of special tax within the said district. Councilmember Baca.
Aye.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Carrie Sellers.
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye. Aye. Okay.
Thank you for bearing with me. It's a lot of wording.
All right, we're moving now on to tab number 3. And that is going to be presented by Chief Parks.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor, City Council, public. Tonight on tab 3 will be regarding the investigation and potential remediation of PFAS contamination near Fire Station 203. Just for some background, or polyfluoroalkyl substances commonly known as PFAS are a group of man-made chemicals that are very resistant to water, grease, and heat. They have been used in many consumer products and industrial processes, including firefighting foams, since the 1950s. These chemicals, often called forever chemicals, are notorious for the persistence.
Move approval.
Second.
I had to study that word for a long time.
No, I think it's well needed, especially as we, yes.
We knew this was going to be long.
Tab 4, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nope, tab 4 is 10. Oh, okay. Top fire. Oh.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. The item before you requests that the City Council adopt a resolution authorizing the appropriation of $472,138, award MC Electric a construction contract in the amount of $397,200.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you.
It's been moved by Councilmember Scott and a pair of seconds by
Andy.
Sorry, thank you. Moved by Councilmember Scott and a pair of seconds. We'll give it to Mayor Pro Tem Carazellis. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Moving on to tab number 5. Okay, and that is also Mr. Sullivan.
I didn't go anywhere, Mayor.
No, that's right.
Good evening again. Let's see, I have a PowerPoint presentation for this one that Gabe, if we can put there. Okay,
Various
thank you.
streets.
All right. And so this item before you requests City Council delegate authority to the city manager or their designee to approve contract change orders in a cumulative amount not to exceed $1.5 million for the Various Streets Phase 2 project. The Various Streets Phase 2 project is part of the city's ongoing efforts to improve Rialto's road infrastructure. On April 9th, 2024, the City Council awarded CalMex Engineering a construction contract in approximately $8 million. At the time of the award, staff requested additional funding for contract change orders, and the council requested that the contingency component be brought back for consideration as a separate council item. The PowerPoint presentation that I'm about to give identifies 4 additional locations where staff would like to use the contingency funding. Those locations are Casa Grande, the Bloomington intersection of Randall and Lilac, South Maple, just south of Rialto Avenue, and Linden near Norwood or north of Casmelia. So this is the section of Casa Grande. On the left-hand side of the screen or on the west side, we border Fontana there. And what we're proposing is work on Casa Grande from Alder to Mango, essentially. Fontana has been doing work in that area with construction of warehouses, and Casa Grande is nearly ready to be opened up so that there will be a pass-through to Sierra Avenue and direct access to the 210 freeway. What we have at this location is, if I can see the cursor, or maybe Gabe, you can push play for me. This is some drone footage overhead that you can see. We're starting in Fontana to give you a visualization. As we're moving down at the bottom of the screen, you can see some K-rail barriers. That is the Rialto border. And what we have on here is one lane in either direction, both east and west. So what we're proposing is to mirror what we have on Alder, which is 2 lanes east, 2 lanes west. That striping will continue and then match up with Fontana. Once that's done, we would go ahead and open up those K-rails and have continue access all the way through. So the video continues all the way to Alder, and I think for the sake of time, we'll push past that if I can.
I'll move for approval.
Second. Thank you.
Well, I just think that for the benefit of the Bloomington area, I would like for you to show what you're proposing for
Okay.
this intersection.
For sure, yes, Mayor.
No, I think, I appreciate we want to rush through, but these are things that if people are really looking, I want the community to know that we're looking at these necessary improvements.
Okay. This is the shaded area in this picture is the Bloomington intersection with Randall and Lilac. There's been a lot of improvements over the years in this area, and this intersection has been left off of some of the road paving. So we would like to go through there and do a grind and cap. So we have continuous new asphalt along Randall, and also Bloomington was paved not too long ago. This is a design section 2 along Bloomington that'll do improvements to the sidewalk, also make some safety improvements to the residential home that's there, and continue the sidewalk along Bloomington and the sections that are missing as part of this project. This is an aerial video or footage also of the drone footage. I think Gabe's there. And Gabe, if you could just fast forward it kind of towards the end. So right there is good. So you see the home in the upper left-hand corner where the sidewalk ends. The project will continue the sidewalk as part of the paving project and tie it into the existing sidewalk that's west of there. So we are aware of a development in the kind of the lower right corner right now where that field is, and the paving will not interfere with the driveways that are proposed in the design elements. So also utilities for that will not cause a go back to have to dig up the street in our work area. The tie-ins for those are further south. On Maple, we have considerable issues with flooding. We also have some asphalt drive approaches and so forth, missing curb gutter sidewalk. This is on the Fontana border, just south of Rialto, where it turns into Arrow Boulevard. So what we're looking to do here is repair the street, add some curb gutter sidewalk, and prevent, go ahead and push play for me, Gabe. So this is the southern portion sidewalk, and what we have is a lot of flooding when it rains, debris. There's even some pools in the area that get flooded out. So as you can see on the left-hand side, that's the Fontana area. And what we're proposing to do here is connect the sidewalk from the northern area down to the southern area, put in new drive approaches, and you can see kind of right in here is where we connect back into the sidewalk on the right-hand side of the screen.
Okay.
So that is the third project. The other area here, we kind of border the county. County came in and paved Linden. What's unique about this is in the bottom of the picture, there is a warehouse development. So we're only proposing paving, curb gutter, and sidewalk in this area. And because the development that's going to come in, there's limit requirements of the paving and utility tie-ins. So once again, we don't want to pave and then have to come back and dig it up. This is an area here. I've spoken with a homeowner several times about improvements in this area. They're very gung-ho. There's no other real way to put it. So excited about having it done. This is also a path of travel for several of the kids heading up to the high school. And this is another drone footage here, so you can go ahead and push play on that, Gabe. And on the right-hand side, you can see that's a county tie-in. and county stretch, and what we're looking to do is start full. There's an asphalt patch that's fresh. You can see how deteriorated the road is. So we're looking to fix that, and also on the left-hand side, tie in the sidewalk. And that would continue down to, south of Norwood. And then later on, when the development comes in, they would continue and repair the remainder of the street once they go ahead and do their utility cuts.
Okay.
So with that, we're asking for $1.5 million. We do have the funding available. 1.4 of it is leftover. I'm going to call it leftover, but it's remaining funding from phase 1. And then the remaining 100,000 is in unallocated gas tax money for this year.
All right. Well, thank you, Tim. Obviously you already have a first and a second, but I just think that it's important while we have people who are watching that they see that these are safety and road improvements, and we're continuing to try and make sure we make the improvements in whatever money. So I apologize for saying, let's let people see it. I also like the fact that we're using the technology to help people visualize what we're trying to accomplish. So a first and a second, any objections to his motion? Hearing none? Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good job. Chief.
Hello, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So tab 6 is recommending Council authorize the purchase of a Bearcat.
Move for approval?
Second.
It's been moved, just second by Mayor Pro Tem Carrizales, seconded by Councilmember Scott, and Councilmember Baca has a question. Do you have a picture of the Bearcat?
I think it's a good idea. The only question I have is with the old Bobcat. What is going to happen with that? Are we going to be able to redeem any kind of funding back to us? Could you elaborate and let us know how?
Sure. It's a great question. So we talked to Fleet. Fleet actually, when we take possession of the new Bearcat, the older one will be taken out of service. It'll be given to Fleet. It'll go out to auction, and we probably could recoup possibly up to $40,000. But that's questionable, and it'll go to a smaller jurisdiction that can still utilize it, even though there's a lot of repair that needs to be done with it. So we could get up to about 40 grand.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded, and no objections to the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got the next two.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so tab 7 is actually asking Council to approve the Second Amendment to an agreement for Biotox Laboratories. And that's going to be for a period of fiscal year 2024-25.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Scott, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Carrizales. Any objections? Hearing none.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah, my last item is
Move
type.
for approval?
Second.
Question.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Carrizales. I think I heard you,
Yes.
Councilmember Trio, and there's a question.
Yeah, my only question is that I think it's good that we're moving towards new technology in terms of what we'll be able to do, but how are we going to monitor the process? Because I just don't want to see abuse being done by anyone, as we may be able to look at someone's cell phone number, and I don't know what kind of training that would be in place to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And I think the technology is good, and the ability to go after someone that will be able to apprehend a lot sooner, a lot quicker, and being able to get that information. But I just want to make sure that we have safeguards, that there's no abuse in anyone else using that system. And I don't know how it's going to be done, or the kind of training that'll be done, and who would be responsible in terms of having access to our cell phones and getting into them.
So I think that's great. So I actually have David from Jacob Technologies that flew all the way from Maryland, knowing that the cost of this, so he can answer some questions that I may not be able to answer. But Government Code 53166 specifically gives law enforcement the ability to utilize the technology. It has a lot to do with not so much that we're going to capture cell phone numbers, conversations. It doesn't work that way. Basically what happens is this technology we're going to be able to look at or capture the IMSI number, which is the International Mobile Subscriber Identity. And that works in conjunction with your SIMS card. And then it's a triangulation to where we can locate that number, that device. And the only time we can really utilize it is if we go get a warrant from a judge. The way it works right now, and the reason why the technology that we're using is a little outdated, is because, as an example, if we're looking for a missing persons, we're trying to get that phone and that subscriber information off the phone. The only way we can really do that is to go get a warrant through a court. This does not stop us from actually seeking the warrant. We're still going to have to go through to get that warrant just to utilize the technology. It just happens a lot faster. And time is of the essence in our investigation. So what would take us dozens of hours to be able to get the information, to get it to a judge, then for able to get it to the cell phone company to get us the subscriber information, this is actually going to give us the ability to find that device.
I think it's good that we're moving towards new technology and new systems that we'll be able to move a lot quicker.
And we just won't be able to, we just can't go sit, for the bad or lack of terms, we can't sit in front of somebody's house and spy on them. It doesn't work that way. What it does is, this is a vehicle along with the technology. It's just the next step in what law enforcement is moving towards. I think Rialto is one of those agencies.
I just wanted the public to know that, hey, we're not going to be going after your cell phone and looking for information.
No.
We have to get a court order, in order to make sure that we...
Come on up. Here's David.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm honored to be here representing Jacobs Technology, and just want to assure you and everyone listening that the system has administrative security controls that only a specific, as determined by the chief, will have access to use the system. There is no content involved with the use of the system. Okay, so nothing is captured, so there is no such picture messages, phone conversations, nothing of the sort. It operates on transactional information only. And to your training question, 2 members of our company would come to Rialto and train the designated operators for a week on the use of the system.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that the public is aware, and that we're moving in the right kind of direction in terms of our police department having the updated equipment that we need.
Yes, sir. Yep. Awesome.
I think we have one
Thank
more
you.
question by
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Trujillo.
On the other side of the coin, I know you're constantly equipping your department to kind of find different ways to keep us all safe. In what situations would this equipment be better used for?
So I noted quite a few examples in your staff report, and I just for individuals at home that may want to follow up on that. But, missing persons, individual that maybe we're tracking, human trafficking, weapons trafficking, very serious violent type felonies. Yeah, those types of crimes.
And those are situations where time is of the essence. So
Yes.
I mean, definitely thank you for keeping up to date with the technology and finding different ways to kind of help.
Just follow this up just as an example. Remember last year, our detective, Agnes Watson, was recognized here. And that case led from Rialto and ended up in New York City. There's a high probability that would have never happened to where we would have had to track it on the New York City side. It could have been here in the city of Rialto. So it's, those are the opportunities. And that's the time of the essence. So just to kind of let council know and use that one as an example, that's what helped us out quite a bit.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. No objections, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes the information here. And now I'll call Ms. Alvarado if she'd like to come up and give us what's going on in Rialto. And as she comes up, I just would like to say that our Hall of Fame evening event was just absolutely outstanding and very much appreciated. Turned the center, the Johnson Center, into a nice evening gala a feeling, and so myself and Councilmember Baca was there. And for a person who couldn't be there, but was so happy that her husband was recognized, Mr. Michael Powell. So it was really great, and you did an outstanding job. I enjoyed it.
All right, here is what's going on in Rialto. We're heading towards the end of the year, so activity's really gonna start picking up. Rialto Fitness and Aquatic Center's having their open house this week, Monday through Friday. The hours of the gym, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. Through Monday through Friday. So anytime during that time, our residents can stop by, get a tour of the facility. There's a bunch of different deals going on where they can sign up for the fitness center. Senior Health and Wellness Expo will be Thursday, September 12th at Grace Vargas. At that same time at the Grace Vargas Senior Center, we'll also be having our Senior Crafts and Hobby Fair. Both will be happening simultaneously, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll be hosting a park cleanup this Saturday, September 14th at Rialto City Park. We will be replacing all of the picnic tables at the shelter at that park and painting a few facilities there. We got a couple different organizations coming out that day, so it should be a good park beautification day. Ferguson Park Playground resurfacing will start Monday, September 16th. So we'll be closed for about a week and a half, that particular park structure. Feeding America's food distribution will be Wednesday, September 18th at Grace Vargas Senior Center from 9 to 11 a.m. Oh, that's a double. My apologies. Albertsons Free Flu Shot Clinic will be Wednesday, September 18th at Grace Vargas Senior Center from 9 to 11. Petapalooza will be Saturday, September 21st at Civic Center from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tiny Tots Harvest Party will be Saturday, September 18th at the Carl Johnson Center in room 303 from 1 to 3 p.m. And then your save the dates are Viva La Fiesta will be Saturday, September 28th at Jerry Eves Park from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. Walk Like Mad will be Saturday, October 5th at Joe Sampson Park. The ceremony starts at 8:15 and the 5K begins at 9 a.m. Black on the Block Young Entrepreneurs Expo will also be happening Saturday, October 5th at Rialto City Park from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Floating Pumpkin Patch will be back at the Tom Sawyer Pool Saturday, October 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And Halloween Hijinks will be Thursday, October 31st here at the Civic Center from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Okay, I have just a question on clarification. The Petapalooza is on Saturday, September 21st. But you have Tiny Tots is at a harvest party at Saturday the 18th. That's like only 4 days. Yeah, 18th. That's only 4 days away. So is it on the 21st as well, or is it Tiny Tot harvest party?
I'll have to check to see the
During
calendar.
the week?
I'm not sure what happened.
Okay, just thought because when it was out of order, I said, wait a minute,
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I'll send an updated copy to you guys
Okay.
just so that you have the correct information.
Yeah,
My
it's the
apologies.
18th is Wednesday, it says. Okay.
I do have a quick question. I know a lot's going on outside with these fires. How have you been kind of modifying it? And how have you been communicating with the parents?
So we have yesterday and today we have canceled league practices for our sports teams out at the parks. Our basketball and volleyball program started this week as well, so anybody who is practicing outside is scheduled to come inside. With the school shutting down, it's kind of affected some of our practice areas that we do use, so we are kicking back a week. We're postponing it for opening ceremonies for basketball and volleyball. That was supposed to happen this weekend. So our programs are being affected. As long as we can try to keep them inside, we will continue to have those. Some of our contract class instructors have canceled because they don't want the kids out. We are communicating via email, social media. So all of our participants who are registered in programs, we have all their contact information. Plus the coaches are also helping with reaching out and doing all of that. So far it's been okay, but I'm assuming as we get heavier into the week, we might get a little bit of kickback. But the air's just, it's not okay. So we need to make sure that we keep our community safe. And we're just following suit with, you know, what the national weather is putting out, along with what the school district is doing, in surrounding cities.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, who would like to go first with the report outs? Councilmember Scott?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I only have one thing tonight, and that's, I noticed that the app to report things in the city or make calls to people apparently came out. I got a test message from it over the weekend, but I was a little bothered that, and I thought you and I had asked about this when we previewed it in the EDC, that it lists phone numbers for everybody in the city, including the city clerk and the city treasurer, but not the city council members. And this is an app that goes out to our community, and anybody in our community should have the right and the ability to contact a council member or the mayor. I just think it's a bad look for us. We have administration on here, but the average resident doesn't have a clue what administration means. So the mayor and city council should be on here. And I don't know about the rest of the council, but my preference is that each one of our numbers would be listed here with our names.
Councilman, which number do you want? Cell number or just?
Well, I would,
Cell.
my either cell or phone line here.
Okay, or both?
It's up to the rest of the council. I'd go along with what they want, but we're kind of telling our community, don't call your council member.
Yeah.
And I know there's people that work here that don't want people calling us, but it's important for us to be able to communicate with our residents. We're here to represent them.
Yeah. I'm good with my cell. It's on my business card.
Yeah, my cell is fine too, because it's on my business card, so.
Same here, Sal.
So is mine. But I think the Councilmember Scott is correct that we should be listed on almost anything that goes out from the city of Rialto. Should include the mayor and all of the city council members, including, you know, our treasurer as well and clerk. So they'll know who the elected officials are in the area, and if they want to contact us, they can contact us. So that should be on almost every item that is sent out by our city.
All right, Councilmembers Trujillo?
Yeah, one of the issues that came up over the last couple of weeks, I'm getting some feedback on some of the streetlights in our community. And I get that Southern California Edison's working on doing that, but I was wondering, is there a way to do do they do like an annual inventory to find out which lights are not working properly? Was hoping maybe they can kind of do an audit of what's working, what's not, and try to fix them. It just seems there's a series of kind of lights that are just bad throughout the city. I know San Bernardino has a lot of issues on their side. They have hundreds of lights that are gone on, especially in their main corridors. But we have some that, throughout our residential areas that, for some reason or other, have never been turned on. And I wanted to see if there's a way to kind of monitor that on our end.
Yeah, we do conduct annual audits.
Okay.
Normally, they're done in the fall after the time change. It just gives us a bigger window of nighttime to go through and do those. And we'll usually go back and address them as well. I know there's a couple lights that are out there, Edison. We have knockdowns as well, and so on and so forth. So we do have a running list.
Okay.
Do we have streetlights listed on this app?
I believe they are listed on the app, on the report and issue section. And we'll make the changes to the app on the phone numbers.
Yeah, they're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've been running the app internally with staff quite a bit, getting feedback and making changes. So I do appreciate everyone's input so we can make these adjustments to go live later in October. So is our plan.
So you haven't gone live?
No, Mayor, we have not yet. It's internal.
So
You can download it from the App Store.
It was just a test sent to us?
Anyone can download it on the App Store right now. We just have not advertised it out to the public. October 1st is our go live date. We're mainly using it internally to work any of the bugs out and make sure that we deliver a workable product that does no longer, doesn't have any issues.
The only reason I brought it up is that I've had the app on my phone since we originally got it. It just hasn't really worked, or I haven't tried it. But then over the weekend, I got a thing that said this is a test.
Right. IT pushed it out to, is it a city phone or a personal phone?
It's personal.
Personal phone, yeah. I know on the city phones, IT did push it out to every city phone as well.
Okay.
So,
Well, I would make a request that, because we have one more council meeting, then we go dark, that you give us a presentation at the next council meeting.
Okay.
And let the community know that they can expect that it will go live October 1.
perfect.
Because I don't know how long we've had it, and I don't know how long we're taking to get the bugs worked out of it, but I was, getting ready to make it available to the residents, because I tell them when they tell me something, I don't mind, but you can call, So if we have something, I would definitely like us to give a presentation and then put some flyers somewhere where they know how to access it, or, because,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll give the presentation. We have an ad in the Rialto Progress magazine that's coming out. We have a video we're gonna put on the website and push out on social media.
Okay.
So I'll fill the council in, next council meeting.
And just be ready, when I get ready, I want to get an update on that main that broke, or that thing on Baseline. It
Right.
was water all the way down
There was
to Rialto and Pepper.
Mhm.
Okay, next.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a
Yes.
quick question? Would you like a presentation from the Southern Cal Edison rep on the lights in the program?
No, I was
I
asking
didn't know
about,
what Councilman Trillo.
We own our own lights.
Yeah, but,
No.
but when we have to call and have them come repair, right?
Edison, there are some lights, correct,
Yeah,
that are
we
still
do.
owned by Edison, but
We repair.
99% of
Okay.
the lights in the city are owned by the city.
And we do
Yeah.
our own repairs.
Correct, yeah, we do
So
have
if
a
it's only
contract.
1%,
yeah, no, I was talking about the app that,
Oh, okay.
like, for this next meeting, this is the last one, and then we're dark in October, to be ready. He said it will go ready October 1, so let's just have it as part of a presentation in the beginning. You don't have to make it a tab item, but so we
Okay.
can really tell people that it's available, or it will be available.
Thank you.
Councilmember Baca.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank the police department and the fire department for their services to our community. They're almost everywhere in any activities that we have in the community, and they're always watching out to make sure that we have public safety. So my hand goes out to both the fire department and the police department in their services. This last week, I attended the Blizzard Blitz Senior Ice Cream Social at Grace Vargas Senior Center. It was outstanding. It was well attended, and I thought Ed Scott was going to be there, and he was not there. But I had the banana split that he probably would have had at that time.
Good.
And they did a good job in the banana split, so I walked around the building after having the banana split. But I also want to thank the Senior Center. They're doing an outstanding job in providing a lot of activities for a lot of our seniors, and it gives them an opportunity to enjoy a good quality of life by going there and being entertained and having an activity where they can go. And I heard comments, they said that our senior center is better than any of the other ones around the surrounding areas in the Inland Empire, and they've been to some of the other ones, and they said, we've got the best senior center providing services to our seniors, so I commend our staff and our people that work there. Second, I want to mention it was mentioned before, the Hall of Fame recognition that the mayor was there in attendance. I'd like to congratulate the inductees that were inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame, and that was Samantha Middleborn, Kenneth Clark Jr., Darrell Espinoza, and Michael Powell for being inducted for this year's Rialto Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations to them. Hopefully, we look forward to additional athletes being included in future years for their service to our community. Last but not least, I know that the mayor mentioned it, and that was the tomorrow is 9/11. Not only the firefighters that we lost, but others that lost their lives. And also, I happened to be there on 201 when actually the plane hit New York and then also hit the Pentagon in terms of that area. I was walking to my office at Rayburn during that period of time. There was a sense of panic. There was no shelters during that period of time for a lot of us members in Congress. Since then, at least, we have built a shelter for a lot of the individuals that were there. So again, let's remember what happened on 9/11 and never forget, and hopefully that this never happens to our country again. And God bless everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem Garcelos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attended a grand opening for a new restaurant here in Rialto. It's on Foothill Boulevard. It's called the Maiz Mexican Grill. And I just want to encourage our residents to support the business. It used to be a burger stand. I want to thank the police officers that were there. This event was hosted by the Rialto Chamber of Commerce, so big thanks to the Rialto Chamber of Commerce, and we also had staff from Congressman Aguilar, and then we had some staff from Supervisor Joe Baca Jr., including Joe Baca Jr. himself. He was there to do the ribbon cutting, and it was well attended. They have great food. I think we patronized the food today. I think some of us were able to order, and others weren't able to get online, but it was actually pretty good. So I look forward to having that business be part of our staple here. The ownership is very well connected with the food industry. They are franchise owners of the Farmer Boys burger stand, so they know food very well. And lastly, as most of us that are kind of on the campaign trail, I had a very unique situation happen last Saturday as I was walking our street. My daughter says to me, "Dad, I think there's a house burning. There's fire, there was smoke." And, we were in the area, so we just kind of turned around. I'll have our chief come up to give us the update, but I never thought I would run into a burning building, but somehow I just, there was the family, it was an elderly family, and they were already outside, and the daughter was holding a baby. So I asked, "Is there anyone else in the building?" And she said, "My dad, and he's in a wheelchair." So my daughters were screaming. They're like, "Don't!" And I just, there was a couple of neighbors and the mailman, and we all ran inside the house, and luckily the gentleman that was in the wheelchair, we were able to get him out and pull him out to safety. Now, I commend our firefighters, because literally there was no power, so it was just completely dark, and we were just kind of screaming inside the building and asking, because as you don't know which way, and we went upstairs first, and it turns out he was down in the bottom, and we were able to get him out. But our police department was there immediately, and they assisted right away. But I know that our Fire Chief Brian, if you could give us an update on what happened and how everything went down. But I think they probably it was a really hot day, and the AC units were probably the cause of the fire, not exactly sure, but I will be asking for a fire jacket to carry on the back of my truck next time
Well, the way I heard it, it's a cape that you need after that performance.
Thank you.
I mean, I have a text here from Saturday at 4 o'clock. 1300 block North Primrose exterior fire that was able to be prevented from getting inside the house. Councilmember Carazelis is on scene rendering aid to people when we showed up. So, right from BC Blanco.
So was it the electrical panel that caught on fire?
Yeah, it's electrical fire. That was with the fires and everything else going on, it's easy to lose sight of all the other emergencies, whether it be house fires or medical aids. We had a swift water rescue this weekend. We broke a record for a 5-day call period that doesn't rhyme with the 4th of July. 124 calls on Friday. That's double the daily total. So with the heat and everything else going on, definitely take all the help we can get. So thank you for that.
But I want to commend our fire department, because considering the fact that we have our units everywhere and that we're on a high fire alert, immediately there was 2 engines and the tiller. So thank you.
That's all you need.
Got the tiller out, huh?
The tiller got there quickly. But thank you for that.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, all right, well, see, when you get out and walk,
When you
things
get out
that
and
you
walk,
can
you
really
get into a
do.
burning
Yeah,
building
yeah.
or building.
Well, if the fire chief doesn't get you a fire jacket, I'll loan you my cape that says hero on the back. You can have it, okay? It's just got a big H, and you can just use it anytime you need. The only thing I'd like to follow up with, Mr. Sullivan, is just an update on the water that really ran. And I have a question, because as I called on it Saturday, I was wondering afterwards, because I believe that's part of our landscape maintenance district, but I was wondering if that was our water line or if that was on Best Baseline. I don't know quite where the line is drawn for it being West Valley Water District, but it was quite an amazing.
Quite a lot of water. It was an irrigation line that broke, and thank you for calling me and letting me know. I did just send you some pictures so you can see where it was broken. But yes, it was, and thank you. Oftentimes we will get calls because of water leaks, not knowing if it's RWS or West Valley or an irrigation line like that. So we do have staff on call 24 hours a day, and a lot of times I'll call RWS if we need backup or so forth, and I think we have a good partnership. But one of the things we're doing to prevent that is we are phasing in a new control system, which monitors breaks, leaks, things like that.
So that's what I was going to lead to, because as I drove away calling you, I thought, shouldn't this be something under our SCADA? I mean, our system should be somewhere where we should know when we have water that is running and continuing. There should be an alarm. And so I wanted to ask, how do we quantify that? How much, because the water literally left baseline all the way to Pepper and went all the way down to Rialto and Pepper and was puddling. I said, so why wasn't there an alarm system? Is anybody watching the system?
We have an older CalSense system which doesn't have those capabilities. It was never installed. We're switching over to a new system, also working with our new developers coming in. We have a different product. It's less expensive, and it's all the latest and greatest technology with the flow sensors and so forth. So we've actually been working with Cynthia as well to put one in our parks and test that, and we have a couple other new developments where it's being put in.
Okay, well, it was very concerning, but no, thank you.
I do appreciate the phone call so we could get that fixed, but.
Well, I appreciate you taking the calls too. You do respond, and all of you guys do, department heads. I appreciate that, because you're the go-to guys for us. I don't really know. I mean, I think I gave you one last night, right? I mean, we get some interesting calls, and I don't know which way to turn with them. So I appreciate you guys handling them. And on the same time, I really like to get a little recap or a little feedback on how we resolved it. So.
Yeah, we can check the meter numbers and compare them to prior months, and then when we get the latest read, I'll be able to give you those numbers.
That was the irrigation line on baseline, but Boyle just disappeared over the flood warnings, and was wondering if is there any plan to create a better drainage for portions of Foothill?
So yes, there is. It's actually in design. We've been working with the county. Tonight, one of the items was for the baseline storm drain.
Yeah.
And to release the bids for that. The next fix is, there's a couple known spots on Foothill that are really bad. We have one area with a new development going in that we're trying to find a resolution to. And then the next large storm drain improvement is targeted on Foothill, so.
Got it. Okay.
All
Good
right.
to know.
Well, that's it for me. Is there anything else? Anyone that needs treasurer or city clerk? Hearing none, then I will just say, sorry, this meeting went a little longer, but I noticed when I watched you guys, you only had 3 tab items last time, and we have 8, so I do have to say we had to get through and handle a little business. So with that in mind, would you like to make a motion to adjourn?
So move. Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Carrizales and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. No objections, we are adjourned.